Hello, and welcome to this video tutorial on how to use the Metasploit framework to discover and exploit vulnerabilities on a target system. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use Armitage, a GUI-based tool that runs over the Metasploit framework. Armitage is an intelligent tool from Microsoft that visualizes, recommends exploits, and exposes the advanced post-exploitation features in the Metasploit framework. I'm going to use Backtrack for this tutorial because Metasploit and Armitage already come pre-installed. I am also being cautious by using Metasploit in a virtual environment that is separate from any other networks. This way I avoid inadvertently affecting any systems that I don't have authorization to practice the techniques that I'm about to demonstrate in this tutorial. I'm already logged onto my Backtrack system, so I will go ahead and launch Armitage by clicking on Applications, selecting Backtrack, Exploitation Tools, Network Exploitation Tools, Metasploit Framework, and choosing Armitage. In the Connect window, I will accept the defaults and click Connect. To start Metasploit, I will click Yes. Armitage works by creating RPC calls to Metasploit. Once you click Connect, you may notice repeated RPC connectback failure messages. This error is because Armitage keeps trying to connect to the Metasploit framework by throwing RPC calls and it waits for a response. This process takes a few minutes, so we just have to wait for it to finish. Once the connection is successful, you will be presented with the Armitage GUI along with the Metasploit Framework console at the bottom. The first thing I'm going to do is navigate to Hosts and select Add Hosts. Here I will enter the IP address of the target system, which is a Windows 2003 server that I have set up in my virtual environment. Once the IP is added, I'll click Add, click OK. Now I will choose the target icon and right-click and select Scan. This will identify any services running and also identify the OS of the target system. Once the scan completes, the system icon will change to the logo of the identified OS, and in this case it is Windows. Now I am going to identify any exploits based on open ports and operating system vulnerabilities for the target system. To do this, I will navigate to Attacks and select Find Attacks. Once completed, you will be presented with the Attack Analysis Complete message. Click OK. Now that the exploits have been discovered, we will find an extra option called Attack by right-clicking on the system icon, selecting Attack. Here you will see all the possible exploits based on open ports and operating system vulnerabilities for the system. The one we are interested in for this tutorial is SMB. So I'll go to SMB, scroll to the bottom, and select Check Exploits. And this will tell me which one of the exploits are vulnerable on this system. So if we look at the report at the bottom of the screen, we notice the first exploit here, MS08_067_net API. It tells me that the target is vulnerable. And it looks like it is the only one out of this group that is vulnerable. The original name of this exploit is Microsoft Server Service Relative Path Stack Corruption Vulnerability. It allows a remote user to send a specially crafted RPC request that triggers an overflow and executes arbitrary code on the target system. So basically it allows the remote user to control the system. To gain a better understanding of how the vulnerability works, I encourage you to look up the vulnerability either on the Microsoft Security Bulletin website or the Common Vulnerabilities and Exposure website. I have the Microsoft page for this vulnerability already up on my system, so we'll just take a quick look at it here. This is the security bulletin for this particular vulnerability. And here you will find information about how the vulnerability works, the systems that are affected, and we can see here everything from Microsoft Windows 2000 Service Pack 4 up through XP Service Pack 3, Windows Server 2003 Service Pack 2. All of these operating systems have a severity rating of critical. The site will also explain how you can fix the vulnerability, so it's an invaluable resource for security professionals. So let's go back to the backtrack system. And now that I know a little bit more about the vulnerability, I can right-click the target system and navigate to Attack and choose the exploit. I will leave the default settings as they are and click Launch. You will know if the attack is successful when the icon changes. And we notice that the icon now has lightning bolts wrapped around it. That means the attack was successful. So now we should be able to remotely connect to the server by right-clicking on it, selecting Metinterpreter 1, selecting Interact, and selecting Command Shell. And this will open a command shell on the remote machine. So if we look at the bottom of the screen, we see Windows /Windows /System32. So it'll put us in the System32 directory. The first thing I like to do is I like to run ipconfig to see what the IP address is of the remote system. And this way, this will tell me that I am actually connected to the remote system. So I'll hit Enter. The IP address is 192.168.2.129, and that is the IP address of my Windows 2003 server. Now I'm going to run the net user command, so net.user. This will show me what user accounts on the remote system. So I'll press Enter, and I can see 5 accounts. There's an admin account, J. Smith, administrator, a guest account, and a support account. So now I'm going to use the net user command to try and create an account on the remote system. So I'll type net space user. I'll call the user, just call it test. Give it a password of test /add. Press Enter. The command was successful. I'll run the net user command again to see if the account was created. And yes, I can now see the test account on the remote system. I can also right-click the icon, choose Metinterpreter 1, go to Explore, and I can select Browse Files. This will give me a Windows Explorer type interface to the system. So put me in the System32 directory. I'm going to get rid of Windows/System32 and just go to the root of the C drive. Now I can see the root of the C drive. If I wanted to, I could create a directory on the C drive by clicking Make Directory. I'm just going to call it Test. Click OK. And there's my test directory. I can also right-click the icon, go to Metinterpreter, select Access, select Dump Hashes, and I can try to dump the password hashes of the user accounts on the remote system. So I'll select LSAS method, click OK. And now in order to see the hashes, I need to select View, Credentials. And this shows me each of the accounts on the target system along with their password hashes. Now I could copy these hashes and run them through a password cracking program, but I can also try to crack them right from here by selecting Crack Passwords. Click Launch. And this will use John the Ripper to try to crack the passwords on the remote system. So we'll just give this a few minutes to run. Okay, it looks like it cracked 4 of the passwords. The test account that I created with a password of just test. J. Smith has a password of 1234567. The admin account just has a password of simply password, and the guest account has no password. And you can see that it only took a few minutes, and these are easy passwords, so they're easier to crack than most passwords, but it just goes to show how easily they can be cracked using the right tools. So this just goes to show how important it is to have an effective password policy that enforces strong passwords. I hope this tutorial helped provide enough information to get you started using Metasploit along with the Armitage interface to identify and test system vulnerabilities and gain a better understanding of the capabilities of Metasploit. This tutorial is only scratching the surface of what can be done with Metasploit. If you want to learn more about Metasploit, I recommend going to the Metasploit.com website where you can download a copy of Metasploit and start learning how to use it to test system security.